So Francis, Lynne and Moya will be talking about how to start the journey of becoming a communication-friendly environment and how visuals can be used to support learning, communication and to help ease anxiety. And the popularity of the resources have been incredible. They've been shared and used worldwide. So I really look forward to this session. So we're more at 4 o'clock, Lynne. So if you'd like to maybe start with yourself and Moya as well, and Francis.
That's great. Hi there. So I am Francis. We'll be introducing ourselves in a wee minute. We're just going to quickly thank you all for joining us. And you'll probably tell we're really quite nervous about this because normally we do face-to-face things. This is totally out of our comfort zone. So bear with us, please.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic. And just to say that Francis, Lynne and Moya will be presenting for about 20 minutes, and then towards the end there'll be an opportunity for a Q&A session. So please post any questions you have in the text chat, which is just located at the purple chevron bottom right hand of the screen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So what we've got here just now is just a quick welcome to you all, and thanks very much for joining us. We've also got along the bottom a visual timetable, simply because we need it to keep us on track. Otherwise we'll talk for too long and then there won't be any questions and everybody will be getting kicked off. So as you can see, as we're using the timetable, we'll pull off once we're finished. So our plan really is just to introduce ourselves, talk about why we use visuals, give you some examples of visuals, and then ways to contact us and find out more information. So introductions, we've got Moya. Moya, do you want to say hello?
Hello, I'm Moya. Hope you can hear me.
And we've also got Lynne. Lynne, your turn. Lynne's the shy one.
Sorry. Hi there.
So we met as peripatetic teachers and very much had a shared passion for inclusion and equity. We've now moved on, we're all in very different roles, but each week, as we say each week, practically every night, you know, we're on the phone and we're talking about things and we're figuring out how to make things better. Initially we created a Twitter page for NLC Communication Friendly team to develop the Communication Friendly Awards in North Lanarkshire Council, but then lockdown happened and we kind of felt as though we needed to do a wee bit more than just look at communication friendly in an award situation. So Lynne, this is you now, isn't it?
So the first slide we're looking at is why we use visuals. So we know a lot of you have signed up to the webinar and a number of you will be using visuals already, and you know why they're important and you want to make the environment you're working in more communication friendly. So with that in mind, we'll skim over the next few slides. But the visual that's on the screen at the moment, that's a visual we use in all of our training that we deliver in schools. And it highlights the many benefits of using visuals. Visuals are a part of our daily life. We use them when we're driving, we use them in shopping centres, probably more so now with COVID and the rules. And when we put a wash load on as well, we're checking labels, so we use them all the time in our daily life. And if adults rely on them so much, then why shouldn't children? So visuals are for everyone, and we promote the use of visuals in schools for all pupils. It's not just those with ASD. They can help support our pupils who are dyslexic, EEL, and those that just take longer to process information. Visuals are also important in school because they help us develop trust with our pupils. They know that we're going to follow through in what we say and what we do. Right, Francis, ready? So this is a quick challenge for you, and really it's just to see how many of those visuals you recognise, and we're guessing that probably you know quite a lot of them. So a recall of these visuals are probably really quick, and it just goes to show how effective visuals actually are. Moya?
Okay, I've another wee challenge for you on the next slide. It's some textual information, and I don't know if anybody can translate it for me. You might be able to guess it's written in Dutch, and it's just a wee bit to show you that a lot of the children that we're working with, they might not be very fluent readers or not readers at all, so they present it with textual information, they can't read it, or it's quite stressful for them to read it. So I will show you the translation. Oh, I thought somebody had translated that, Francis. Did you? So this is what it means. it still takes you a little bit of time to read it. But if I move on to the next slide, you can tell what the textual information was describing, a circle. So just look at that, you can see it's a circle, and it's less stressful than having to try and read all that information. The next few slides, it's also really important, just to add on to that as well, it's really important that for that information in schools and all around the place, that it is accessible to everybody. And in our classrooms, it is a legal requirement that we do make adjustments like that for all learners, so as they can access everything in the school. The next few slides, there are some examples about how we could use those around the school or in other places. So Lynne, I'll pass over to you.
So over the next few slides, we've got different examples of how we use visuals. We have resources which we've used during COVID. Mainly our resources break down quite difficult information that have been given from the government, so it can be accessed by a wider range of people, but they include recipes, class routine, examples, and all of the COVID resources. The resources that are on our blog are used mainly to support learning and understanding of current events, and we'll give more examples of our visuals later on in the presentation.
Sorry, I'm a bit behind here. So creating a so obviously we don't know what everyone's backgrounds are. At the minute we're going to focus on creating a visual education environment, but we'll talk a wee bit more about how to create a visual home environment as well. So looking at creating a visual education environment, we've kind of broken it down into different levels really. And now this is just our thing, you know, it's nothing that's official, it's nothing that's formal or anything, it's just how we would look at going forward with it. So the first thing that we'd be looking for is whether or not there's support within the school environment or the nursery environment. Is there an eagerness to be using visuals? Because if that's not there, then really we're starting fighting a battle already about the purpose behind them and why we use them. Whereas if there's already that support and eagerness there, we're already a wee step ahead. The next kind of level, we'd be looking at labelling areas around the school, like the corridors, the head teacher's office, the canteen, things like that. Other signs around the school that show what hand washing is, breaking it down, expected behaviours and things, your fire drills. The visual timetable visible in the class. At this point, we're not even asking you to be interacting with it, it's just that it's visible in the class. Moving up again, then we'd be looking at, is your classroom visualised at all? Are your drawers labelled? Are your cupboards labelled? And when we're talking about visualised, we had put out a questionnaire maybe about a year ago now, asking about, what visuals do you have in the class? And a lot of times what we were getting back was that people were talking about to-do lists that were written. So we've then kind of looked at that and gone, right, so when we're talking about visuals, do people understand what it is that we're actually talking about? It's not just that it's written, it's that it's, we've got a picture with it as well, so that it is, as we said, pictures are quicker for the brain to process. So we're looking at that there are pictures along with words as well. At this stage, we'd then be looking at, is the timetable being used effectively? Has it just become part of your wallpaper, or is it something that you're using all the time? Within my own house, we've got my wee boy, loves his visuals, and I'm telling you this, I'm very aware I'm telling you this, right, and this is an overshare, but you're going to have to just deal with this. So my wee boy had a visual for getting himself ready in the morning, and then we were doing great with it, everything was going well, and then one day he turned to me and he said to me about how, oh mum, do we still need this? Because I don't do half those things. I thought, well, wait a minute, John, what do you mean you don't do half these things? And he said, well, yeah, that bit about washing your face, I don't do that. Of course, terrible mother that I am was like, oh my gosh, John, what have you been doing when you're in the bathroom? I've heard water running. Oh, I've just been running the water because that's what you do as well. And I was like, no, when I'm running the water, I'm washing myself as well. So from that then I was like, oh, right, okay, he's actually not using this visual at all. It's just there, it's just become part of our wall. It's nothing that he's interacting with at all. So from then it became a case of, let's break it down. How do you wash your face? What's the first thing you do? And then it became something that we talk about. Now, it's not every single day I have to say to him, have you wet the cloth? Have you put cloth in your face? Have you added soap? All these different things. There are some, maybe once or twice a week now, I'll say to him, John, have you done? But otherwise, it's just a case of, have you washed your face now? because he's got the visual there to be more independent. He's also a wee bit older and I don't feel as bad about it now. Moving back to the kind of education environment, once we've moved on to having things labelled and used, that's when we're looking at it getting more individualised. Are we using first and end boards for pupils who need it? Is it now that you've got your class visual, but at your classroom timetable, but actually you also need something for other children or young people within the class who need it broken down further? We've got some examples coming up so we can show you what we're talking about as well. And then the final one would really just be, are you adapting the curriculum using visuals? You know, are you just giving out a worksheet that's full of text, or are you, you know, using that and saying we're talking about cutting something out? There's a picture of scissors there as well to show cutting out, and also looking at really creative use of visuals and exemplary practice with it. Okay, Moya, I think this is you.
And just a word of warning, Francis. I can't now see what you're presenting, so I've got my presentation up, but I can't see the slides that you're showing. Okay, so but it's gone off my screen. So environment at home. So visuals can be used with everyday objects. They don't have to be symbols that we've got here, but you could have items in the house, like things from the kitchen, show it's time to prepare food, to eat or to clean up. You would use objects that relate to that activity of that room. At home and in schools, we all have places for certain objects, even if we aren't extremely tidy. There's usually a certain room that the things in the kitchen will go into, certain rooms, things in the living room will go into. So, for example, a toothbrush could represent it's time to clean teeth. A book could represent a bedtime story, or maybe a coat for going outside. So, a few wee pictures up there to show you what kind of things I mean. I think I have anyway. Toothbrush and wash liquid. Yeah, I do. Okay. So next on the next slide, I've got a shopping list.
Yep.
Are we on the same one, Francis? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, I've got a shopping list. So what you could do on a choice board like this is you could get your child to help you make up a shopping list before you go shopping, or possibly find things on the shopping list to go around the shop to help you get the shopping. The next slide, we've got like a chore slide, and with Moya next to it. And what you could do is you could cut out or have your labels removable and put them on. Like first you've got to dry the dishes, then you've got to set the table or put out the rubbish or mop the floor, things like that. So you've got some chores that you can do, or to help somebody who needs that wee bit more, who's a wee bit more independent, to help them run their own house as well. Some organisations ask us for visuals like this over lockdown to support their learners. We've also got calendars. Most of us have calendars in our own houses, and it can be really helpful to know how many days we have to wait until a special occasion like Christmas. And we always find these are very useful in schools coming up to big events, especially Christmas time, where children are really wanting to know how many more days do we have at school, how many more days till Santa comes, and things like that. And we all probably use them ourselves for quite similar purposes, so children really benefit from that as well. So I'll hand you over to Frances again, and she will show you some other uses of visuals too.
Okay, so I'm looking at visuals to ease anxiety. So taking turns can be a really difficult thing. Not knowing when you're going to be asked a question, not knowing when something's going to happen, not being first can be a real struggle. So using a turn taker board can sometimes be really effective for that. We've also got kind of breaking down what it is that you're allowed to do, what it is that you're not allowed to do, what it is that you might be allowed to do, might not be allowed to do. Particularly just now with all the remote learning and things, it can be quite difficult with executive functioning and things, to actually process, right, what do I need to do in order to be ready to be learning. Also, again, another school one, when someone is sent to your class to deliver a message and the class isn't there, and the child starts, or the young person starts panicking, that first of all, they're not going to do as they're told because somebody's told them to deliver this message, and secondly, well, where is everyone? What if something's happened? If we get something like this on the door, then this is something that's really valuable. And I'm looking at this just now going, I've not got this on my classroom door, I need to get this up next. Then we've got visuals to support communication. So with everything that's going on just now with COVID and things, it can be really tricky to break that down and explain that. So we've kind of looked at what it means, what it is that we're actually asking. So this is just a couple of examples that we've got to try and break it down further. Again, our kind of breaking down the information from the Scottish Government, that was something that was a huge and very difficult to do, but we felt that it was an essential part of our role. If we're talking about using visuals to support at different times, it's supporting anxiety, support, you know, this is probably the most anxious time most of us have experienced in our lifetime. So breaking that down and making it accessible for everyone was so important. Now, even within that, there are a lot of words. So that was why we kind of put it into strips of colours, so that if that's too much for one person to visually see, it can be used as strips, which is why we do so often use different colours. You'll see in the next picture as well, to try and break it up again, that if this is too many visuals to process at once, we can break it down further. And then some visuals to support learning. So we've got a wee here, it's just a kind of example of an alphabet board that we've made up and how it can be used to differentiate as well. So we've got all the typical alphabet boards that we've got, but we've also kind of broken it down so that we've got, are you learning about vowels just now? Right, well, yeah, here's one for vowels. You know, you're adding the colours. Once you've learned that sound, that letter, you're then putting on your colour visual on top of the black and white one, so that you know, oh, I know this already, and it builds it up and becomes a picture for you. And then you get the other one where it's not got as many, it's not as bright, it's not got as many colours in the background and things. Then if we used one of our more recent ones, which is looking at social media, and what would you do? You know, what do you do in this scenario? It's a huge, huge thing for so many of our young people, and it's a really, really difficult thing for them to try and work through. So by breaking this down for them and trying to explain, right, if you do this, someone might feel this way or they might feel that way. Was that your intention? Because if that's not your intention, then we do have to be really, really careful. Again, these can be adapted where you're putting out strips, try and break it down further for them as well. And then we've got adapting visuals for individual needs. So you might have your class timetable at the top, and that's what everyone is accessing, that's what everyone is using. You've also got an individual who, that actually is too much information for me to handle right now. I need it broken down further for me. So we've got a first, next and then board where the settling in time, we put it down. What do you actually do in settling time? You take off your jacket, you put your water bottle down, and you check your timetable. By the way, we have never talked this quickly in our life, so you guys really should be very impressed with this. One of the things I'm going to say just now, actually, something I meant to say earlier, it's really, really important if you're using a visual that you need to teach it. You need to explain what it is. So, for example, if you look at the one down at the bottom of our timetable just now, we've got important information. Anytime we see a star, automatically, we're thinking that way anyway. When we say to people, "Oh, you're such a star for doing that," we know it's something important, we know it's something special. Road signs and things have got the red around it, so this is why this is right away. That symbol is telling you that this is important information. It's not that important, but so this is why we've chosen this symbol. If you are choosing a symbol and you're talking that that's your important information, then any time that you use that, it should be that symbol that you use. In North Lanarkshire, we use Boardmaker. Boardmaker are an absolute godsend to us. We totally adore them, love all their work, and I'm really, really, really appreciative of all their support that they've given to us in making up all the resources. And we use it to make sure that there is a consistency across the board. So if a child is moving from nursery to primary or primary to secondary, the visuals are the same. Even although the building is different, the people that they're in the class with, the teachers are different, there's one thing that's the same for them, and that is the visuals. Again, that works if there's a child moving from one school in North Lanarkshire to another school in North Lanarkshire. The visuals are consistent. It's really, really important. So that's kind of the path, the journey that we're on just now. That's the path we're on. We're also kind of looking at building up this Communication Friendly Schools Award. It's something that we'd started already in North Lanarkshire that we're looking at building further. And then really the last thing that we really want you to take away is that visuals are valuable for every learner, for every person. We use them all the time, but they're absolutely essential for pupils with ASN. Any pupil who's got an additional support need, visuals are going to be valuable. It takes away the tone, it takes away all the excess information that I'm giving to you right now. We've got all this here, we've got all the information here. and they can see it in a visual. It's permanent, they're not going to forget it. There are so many reasons as to why we should be using visuals as good practice, not just as, oh quick, we've got an autistic learner in our class, let's get some visuals up for them. It should be part and parcel of being a class teacher, it should be part and parcel of being any kind of teacher and being in a school really. So these are our further readings. Anything you want to find out more about, this session is recorded, so we have gone through this really quickly, and anyone who knows us will be impressed. We know this. So anything that you do need, you can jump on the Flow Scotland website and you can access it from there as well. And then this is our contact details. And now we're on to questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was fantastic. That's such a great resource. And I think your idea about having an award would be really good if that was sort of something that was to become more widespread across Scotland and the UK. Fantastic ideas. So just if you do have any questions, please pop them into the text chat. There's just at the purple chevron down at the bottom, and hopefully Frances, Lynne or Moya will be able to answer any questions that you have.
Right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see.
Yeah, I was thinking as well, if you have those URLs handy, if you could maybe copy and paste them and pop them into the chat as well, that would be quite useful.
Yeah. That would be great. Oh my goodness, I've just seen how many people's on this. That's quite terrifying.
Well, I did once at the time, but it's the most popular one we've ever had, so it's fantastic.
Oh no!
And
oh, we're not let down.
So there's a bit of discussion going on about Boardmaker. Some people are having problems.
Yeah,
getting that, Tina's sorting all that out, so that's fine. That's great. But if you have any specific questions for Frances, Lynne and Moya, please. Marie has been, you're very popular. The resources on Facebook are fantastic. Marie Rankin is saying that they've been using lots of resources for home learning packs, so that's fantastic. Gillian's asking, are all schools in North Lanarkshire on board with this?
Well, I don't know, to be totally honest. I don't know. I know that within North Lanarkshire we use Boardmaker. I know that there has been a lot of work done in this, but I couldn't answer for all schools, I'm afraid. And I certainly can't speak for North Lanarkshire about that, I'm afraid.
The questions are coming in, the comments come in so fast I can barely read them. So, yeah, so Pascal, some great ideas. Do you find that it's usually one person implementing this, or do people tend to get on board?
We've been quite lucky. Within, like just now within my class, we use visuals constantly. I think everybody's probably sick of the sight of my visuals, but we use them all the time. And one of the reasons that we do is to get the point across, really. So in our school just now, we've got visuals everywhere about hand washing, about COVID, about keeping yourself safe and everything like that. And it's been fantastic. It's been really good to see.
Okay, just Lisa's asking, a lot of the checklists are more primary based. Do you have anything, guidelines for high school that you could recommend?
For the Communication Friendly Awards, or for just to get started on this?
Maybe Lisa could ask that while we're doing that. And there's a quick question from Michelle. Do you have any advice on how we can support young people who struggle to use visuals and maybe find it overly demanding? Maybe they're not, keen to follow something that feels a bit adult-led.
Yeah. I think normally what I would do is when we've got pupils who are struggling, now they're very few and far between, but there are pupils who do struggle with it because of the demand issue. I find that just presenting the visual and walking away, like not giving any verbal prompting with it, but just putting it down so that it's there for them and giving it as a choice. So they've got, so for example, we've got things where, well, you could either do your, try to think of something we've just done today. You could either do your comprehension just now, or you can watch this story on the iPad and just kind of leaving that there as options and walking away and leading them to it. And that way then they've got a choice, so they've got control over making that choice themselves.
Okay. Tina's just saying that if you do have any difficulties with BoardMaker, or you want to get a free copy, that there's a link there that you can get it from. And actually, most of the comments are just saying how wonderful the resources are and how people are using them. So take a bow. Fantastic.
That's great to hear. I'm glad they've been useful, because we put them up and then we get wee kind of comments coming in. We're like, oh no, this is going to be the one where they say this is rubbish, take it down.
No, fantastic. Marie's asking, have you had formal learning with BoardMaker, or have you just picked it up as you've gone along?
Tina's been great with us. We've done lots and lots of training with Tina. There was a lot during the first lockdown that we accessed constantly, and it's been great. It's been really helpful, really good. Before that, there was, I mean, we still fully aware that there is a huge amount to do with BoardMaker that we are still learning about and that we still don't know about. For us, it's just a fantastic resource. But yeah, there are things where we're just kind of trying it out. Sometimes going, oh, that worked. Oh, that didn't work.
I was just going to say that, Francis. I think it's just trial and error a lot of the time as well, and we've become confident because we're using it all the time, and I think that really helps.
Yvonne's asked quite a good question. She loves your resources that she's seen on Twitter. Do you have any suggestions on how maybe Yvonne can incorporate the visuals when she's working online or working from home? I presume maybe mean within Teams or that type of thing.
On our blog, we have PDF versions of it. So normally what I do is I make it up at home and then I come in and realise I can't print from my laptop, so I have to then go onto the blog and download from there and print it from there or share it from there on Teams. So what I've done then is just save the PDF to my computer and then put it onto Teams that way. Or I would assume that if you're using Seesaw or something else, then that would be the same sort of thing.
Kyle is just saying, not just as a practitioner, but as a parent of a child with ASN, the resources have been brilliant. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for that.
Well, thank you again, and thanks to everyone for joining. I think we'll close the session, but just before we do, Paul is asking, how did you get the visual timetable along the bottom of your slides?
We just put them on as pictures and then just moved them down.
Yeah. Sorry, Angela's also asking, who does she contact about getting inspected for awards as well? It
would depend what authority you're in, because I can only talk about how we do it in North Lanarkshire. At the moment, we've got all these great ideas about it, but it's all kind of on hold just now because of lockdown and the change of rules and things. At the moment, though, it would still be us. It would still be us that you contact at the minute. I hope I'm not overstepping by saying that, but it's been us for a wee while, so yeah, just contact us. And then if we're the wrong people, we can pass you on to the right people.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you, Francis, Lynne and Moya, and thank you to everyone for joining. And lots of great comments. Thank you for a great session. Thanks.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Coming as well.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.